In alhamdulillah wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. Today will be the last lecture on Kitab Iman, or the Book of Faith, from the collection of Sahih Muslim. For those of you who don't know, Sahih Muslim, all the hadiths in Sahih Muslim are authentic. They are authentic. Those are the two collections that we use: Bukhari, Muslim, and also Muwatta. Those are the hadiths in which everything is authentic. And there is no scholar of hadith who will question the authenticity of any of the hadiths in those three collections. And Sahih Muslim consists of many volumes. We're in the first volume, the first chapter, which is Kitab Iman, or the Book of Faith. And today will be the last lecture to complete this chapter. We will have completed the whole chapter, the first chapter of book 1 in the Sahih Muslim collection, Kitab Iman. You guys should be able to walk away with a better understanding of the meaning of all those hadiths and also the verses of the Quran which relate to those hadiths. And today we're going to end this chapter by speaking about something that's very important that many Muslims refuse to accept. And if you don't accept this, you are not a real Muslim. You will be in hell forever. Because we have to believe everything that Allah says, whether we like it or understand it or not. And that is that anyone who dies upon a religion or a belief system other than Islam will be in the hellfire forever, despite how many good deeds they did in this world. We have to understand, guys, that this world is the paradise for the unbeliever. A lot of people ask, Sister Layla, why is it that the Kafirs seem to have everything? They have the money and everything else. This is their paradise. This world is meant to be their paradise. If a Kafir does good in this world, Allah rewards him in this world. All their actions of charity, all their good deeds are rewarded here. But once they die, their good deeds come to an end. They have nothing coming. They will be in the hellfire forever. And that's why the Prophet taught us that this world, even though it is a paradise for the unbelievers, it's a prison for us. Our paradise is yet to come. We may not have it all in this world, but we will have it in the hereafter if we truly believe in Allah. So we have to understand that if a person dies upon a faith or a religion or a belief system other than Islam, then they will be in hell. So people will ask, well, what about the other prophets? Again, every prophet that Allah sent was Muslim. What does the Arabic word Muslim mean? Muslim means one who submits to Allah. Adam was Muslim. Noah was Muslim. Jesus was Muslim. Moses was Muslim. Solomon, David, John, Aaron, every prophet that Allah sent was Muslim. And those people who followed them during their lifetime are Muslim too. And they will be in paradise if they live their lives obeying those prophets. Okay? But after the Prophet Muhammad, there are no other prophets sent. Okay? He was sent to all mankind and jinn. Anyone who hears of Islam, anyone who hears of the Prophet Muhammad must practice this way of life. If they fail to do so, then they die a kafir. They will be in hell forever. So don't ask me, what about Jesus? Jesus was Muslim. What about his followers? They were Muslim too. Those who followed him. The same with Moses. But after their death, after Moses died, after Solomon died, after David died, after Jonah died, if those people did not continue to follow on the way of those prophets until the next one came, then guess what? They're in hell. Just like the people today, they're not following the way of the Prophet Muhammad, they're in hell. So when people say, will there be Christians and Jews in paradise? The answer is no. The only people that will be in paradise are Muslims, people who submitted to Allah. Okay, will Jesus and all his followers be in paradise? Those who followed him? Yes. Moses the same, Aaron the same. Everybody understand that? So let's look at the hadiths that address this. One day the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was giving a lecture to the people, and a hypocrite stood up, an ignorant man. He stood up because the Prophet said, ask me any questions that you might have about the religion or about what I was speaking about. This man tried to be funny. He said, oh, you a prophet, you think you know it all. Tell me, where is my father? And the Prophet told him, your father is in hell, because his father was dead. He says, your father's in hell. And then when the man turned away to walk away, the Prophet said, guess what? My father is in hell too, right along next to yours. Now you got a lot of Muslims today, a lot of these famous speakers you think are scholars, and I keep telling you guys, most of these speakers are just speakers who can speak well. They're not scholars. They refer to the Prophet Muhammad's mother and father as being beloved. Oh, the beloved Amina, the beloved Abdullah. May Allah bless their souls. May Allah bless Amina. She gave birth to her son. And Abdullah, may Allah bless him. Amina and Abdullah are in hell. They were not Muslim. The Prophet's parents were not Muslim, guys. They were pagans. They worshipped idols. And they are in the hellfire. And here's the proof. My father and your father are in the hellfire. Anyone who dies upon a way other than Islam, they die the death of a kafir. And they'll be in hell. So this is why Allah tells us in the Quran, if you love your family so much, then call them to Islam. That's why Allah says in the Quran, in the interpretation of meaning, and warn your close relatives. And let's look at this next hadith. Abu Hurairah tells us that when Allah sent down the verse of the Quran saying, warn your close relatives, the Prophet called out to the Quraysh because that was his family. That was his tribe. He called for them and they all gathered around him. And he tried to tell them about the religion. He warned them of the hellfire. He made a particular reference to certain tribes and said, O sons of Ka'b, save yourself from the fire. O sons of Murrah, save yourself from the fire. O sons of Abdu Shams, save yourself. These were all his relatives. He even told his daughter, he said, "O Fatima, save yourself from the hellfire, because I have no power to protect you from Allah in anything except this." So again, the Prophet's mother, his father are in hell because guess what? They were kafir, guys. And when you hear people speak about them and say, "Oh, may Allah bless them," and may Allah, there is no forgiveness. Okay? Because that's the one sin that Allah does not bless or forgive you of. So again, we have to educate ourselves about our religion. Anyone who dies upon a religious faith other than Islam, or some type of belief system other than Islam, which is total submission to Allah, will be in hell. Again, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood up and he said, "O Fatima, my daughter, O Sophia, my aunt, I have nothing that I can save you against Allah. I cannot save you from Allah unless you embrace this way of life." So that's what we need to do. You love your family, try to, talk to them about Islam. Remember, only Allah makes Muslims though. If Allah has not decreed for your parents to embrace Islam, they won't. If a law is not decreed it, you can talk till you turn purple in the face, but just tell them about it. Does everybody understand that? So again, and then also Abu Talib. Who is Abu Talib? How many of you hear a lot of Muslims say, oh, the Prophet's uncle, Abu Talib, the Prophet will intercede for him on the day of judgment. He'll be forgiven of his sins, him and his mother and father. No, the Prophet is not going to intercede on behalf of any non-Muslim to be forgiven. Because Allah says in the Quran, there is no forgiveness for them. This world is their paradise. Whatever good deeds that a non-Muslim does in this world, he's given the goodness of this world as a reward. Abu Talib, he was given the life of this world. He was rich. His reward came from this world. But when Abu Talib died, he will be in hell, in hell, in hell. But what Allah has allowed the Prophet Muhammad to do, the Prophet Muhammad asked Allah, he said, oh Allah, I know you cannot forgive my uncle, just like you can't forgive my mother and my father. But I ask you, Allah, please let my uncle have the least punishment in hell. In other words, don't let my uncle suffer so badly. And Allah gave the Prophet what he wanted. He said, your uncle Abu Talib will have the least painful punishment. Let's look at the Hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, O Prophet of Allah, have you benefited Abu Talib for defending you and protecting you as a Muslim? Has he anything coming with Allah because of what he did, his good deed of protecting you? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, yes, his reward will be that he will be in the most shallow part of the hellfire. He will be in the most shallow part. That's his reward for protecting me in this world. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and what is the shallow part? He said he will be placed in the shallow part of the fire, which will reach his ankles. And it will cause his brain to explode and boil over and over and over again. That'll be his punishment. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the least suffering for the inhabitants of the fire will be for a man who will have 2 shoes and 2 laces of fire on his feet, and these will cause his brain to boil, and he would think that he will not have experienced anything more painful than that. But that's the least punishment. So that will be Abu Talib's reward. He will still be in the hellfire forever, but he will be standing up to his ankles with his head boiling and exploding, his brains boiling and exploding over and over and over and over again throughout eternity. So I want you guys to understand, to die upon anything other than Islam, you got nothing coming. You'll be in the hellfire forever. That includes the Prophet Muhammad's mother, his father, his uncle. That includes your mother, your father, your uncles, whoever in your family did not embrace Islam. And again, it does not matter what their good deeds were. Let me share something with you guys. Those of you who've been here since I made this website in 1997. I remember those were some of the darkest days of my life. From 1997 till around 2008, those were the darkest days of my life, because I sat here on this internet, a pioneer, trying to convey the message of Islam. And I had so many Muslims from around the world coming in here wanting to argue with me, wanting to fight with me, because number 1, I'm a female. Number 2, I don't speak Arabic. Number 3, because they thought they knew the deen and they didn't. And I'll never forget this one young man. He came in here one day and he's told me that I was cursed by Allah and I was going to hell because I was teaching wrong. And he was an Arabic speaking young man. And I said, what am I teaching that's wrong, dude? He said, you're saying that everybody who dies upon a religion other than Islam is going to be in hell. He said, you're not teaching them correctly. That is not true. He said, look at Mother Teresa. I said, who is Mother Teresa? He said, she's a Catholic nun. She feeds the poor. She's done so much for the good people in this world, and she just died. She said, Allah is going to forgive her of her sins and put her in paradise because she took care of the orphans. She took care of the poor. I said, Aki, I don't care what language you speak and what country you're from. She took care of the orphans, she took care of the poor, but she also worshiped idols. She prayed to the Virgin Mary. She prayed to statues. She did not believe La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and she knew all about Islam because she sat with Muslim women. She sat with Muslim men who spoke about Islam. I said, do not come here and slander me and say that I'm teaching wrong. But do you know he did? And he went and made a website. He made a website, him and a bunch of other kids, damning me, calling me an innovator, damning me to the hellfire. I always wonder what would happen to that young kid. Okay? Again, despite the good deeds that a person does in this world, if that person dies denying La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, all their good deeds are in vain. We have the hadith where Aisha, she said to the Prophet, she said, "O Prophet of Allah, the son of Judah, he's such a good man. He keeps the ties of kinship. He takes care of the poor. He looks after the orphans. Will there be any reward for him?" The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said there will be no reward for him because he never said, "Oh Allah, forgive me of my sins." He never said, "La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah." So there's the proof. There's your evidence. I don't care how many poor people you took care of, how much charity you gave. If you died upon any belief system other than La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, there is no forgiveness, guys. Again, this world is the paradise for the non-believer. So all the good deeds that the son of Judah did, all the good deeds that Mother Teresa did, all the good deeds that any non-Muslim does, Allah rewards them here. Mother Teresa, she had her fame. She was a very famous woman. She lived a good life, I'm sure. But again, this is their paradise. But to die denying La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, your good deeds come to an end. And again, I want you guys to know that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's friends with the believers, not the unbelievers. The unbelievers will not stand with the Prophet on the day of judgment. Because that's another statement this young man made to me back then. He said, "Oh, Sister Layla, you're teaching wrong because Mother Teresa should be standing right there shaking hands with the Prophet Muhammad while you're in the hellfire." That's what he told me. I said, first of all, Muslim men do not shake hands with non-mahram women. Secondly, the Prophet Muhammad is not friends with the unbelievers. Look at what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. He said, "Behold, the posterity of my fathers and so are not my friends. Verily, Allah and the believers, the righteous believers, are my friends." So not even your relatives. Even if your relatives die upon a faith other than Islam, they're not going to be standing, shaking hands with anyone but the devil on the day of judgment. Does everybody understand that? So I know it might be hard for us to accept. Just like in the beginning, we talked about how when Abu Talib was dying, the Prophet loved his uncle. He sat there begging him to embrace Islam, begging him. But Abu Talib said all the way, his last words were, "No, I believe in what my forefathers believe. I do not believe in what you believe in, Muhammad." And that's when Allah sent down a verse saying that it is not righteousness for a prophet, to make dua for a non-Muslim and beg for a non-Muslim like that. So again, it doesn't matter if it's your relative, your mother, your father, to die upon any way other than Islam, you are in the hellfire and you are not a friend with the Prophet. The Prophet is only friends with the believers. He will only shake the hands of the believing men on the day of judgment. And he will nod in greeting to the believing women on the day of judgment. He will not be shaking hands with non-Muslim women or men and nodding in them. Okay? I hope this is clear. It's maybe sad. We all love our relatives, but I'm sorry. Even those Muslim relatives we got, if they die in disbelief, they're going to be in hell too. A lot of Muslims, they put their love, their desires over Allah. That makes them non-Muslim too. They're going to be in hell too. A lot of your brothers, your sisters, your people that were Muslim, born Muslim with you, going to end up in hell too, forever. So that's something that we have to accept, even though it may be hard to digest. The true believer conditions himself to accept everything that Allah says without question. All right? And also remember, we talked about how the first group to enter paradise will be those 70,000 who will not be held to account. They've earned the love of Allah from their good actions in this world, that Allah will not even judge them. Well, the Prophet ﷺ said 70,000 people of my nation will enter paradise without being judged. They will be people who never practiced superstition. They did not believe in omens. They did not cauterize themselves. Instead, they trusted in Allah. So again, if you want to be of those 70,000, ask yourself, is your faith strong like theirs were? Are you superstitious? Do you believe that if you step on a crack, you're going to break your back? Do you believe that if you break some glass is bad luck? Do you believe that the number 13 is bad luck? Do you believe that a black cat can bring evil to you? Then that means you're not of these 70,000, because they believed in Allah. They knew that nothing could harm, nothing can benefit them unless Allah allows it. They believe in the qadr of Allah, not in that other crap, not luck or any of that stuff. Okay? And then here's a very lengthy hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, there was brought before me the people, and I saw a prophet with a small group of followers along with him. I saw another prophet with one or two people following him, and I saw another prophet with only one person, and another with no one. Then a very large group was brought to me, and I asked if those were my people, and I was told, no, that's Moses and his people. And I was told to look over to the horizon, and then I saw an even larger group. And I was told that is your nation. And amongst them, in the front, those are the 70,000 who will be made to enter paradise without being judged, because they've earned the love of Allah in this world, and He's already forgiven them. Okay, and what was it that made these people stand out? Well, the Prophet ﷺ said they were people who did not practice superstition. They did not practice magic. They trusted in Allah. So again, this is something for us to strive for. Even though the chances of us making it to those 70,000 is slim, we should strive to be of those 70,000. Do away with our superstition. Learn to trust in Allah. Learn to have faith in Him and not in that other stuff. Astrology, horoscope, signs, zodiacs, and all of that. And also, guys, the Prophet ﷺ told us, out of all the other prophets, remember, every prophet that Allah sent was Muslim, from Adam all the way through. And their religion was Islam. Jesus was not a Jew, was not a Christian. Moses was not a Jew. They were all Muslims. Muslim means one who submits. Islam means total submission to Allah. Their followers were Muslim as they were. But even still, our nation, the Prophet Muhammad's followers, will outnumber theirs. Even though there will be more people in hell than paradise, the people who make up paradise, half of them will be from our nation, from the nation of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Are you happy that you make up 1/4 of the inhabitants of paradise?" That's something for us to think about. Also, the Prophet said that Allah will say, "O Adam," and he will say, "I am here at your service." And Allah will say, "Bring forth the group that will make up the hellfire." And Adam will say, "Who are they?" And it will be said that out of every 1,999, out of every 1,000 people, 999 of them will be in the hellfire. Remember that? We talked about that in previous classes. Another hadith says out of every 100 people, 99 of them will enter hell. And when you read that hadith, that makes you think, oh my God, which we know there will be more people in hell, but oh my God, that makes our chances really slim of making to paradise. But here we see the Prophet said that half of the inhabitants of paradise will come from our nation. So again, guys, that should give us some hope here. Give us some hope here, as long as we strive to be the best we can be in our faith and our practice. So what do we learn from today's lecture, today's hadiths? Well, you learn, first of all, anyone who dies upon a religion or a belief system other than Islam will not be in paradise. It doesn't matter how many good deeds they did in this world. Remember, this world is a paradise for the unbeliever, not for us. Allah rewards them for their charities in this world. Also, even the Prophet's family who did not die upon Islam will be in hell. This includes his mother, his father, and his uncle. Also, we learned that the Prophet will ask Allah to allow his uncle to receive the least punishment, which will be the standing on coals with his brains being exploded over and over again. That's his reward for helping the Muslims. Also, we learned that as Muslims, we cannot seek forgiveness for anyone who dies a non-Muslim. This is why you have no business attending funerals for non-Muslims. Unless it's your mother or your sister or someone close like that, you have no business attending any non-Muslim funerals because you can't pray for them. What's the point in going? Also, we learned that out of those 70,000 who will not be held to account, the reason being is because they were the best in faith, and few of us will be amongst them. And finally, we learned that even though there will be more people in hell, only one out of every 100 will enter paradise. We, the followers of the Prophet Muhammad, will still constitute half of the inhabitants of paradise. The rest of the people of paradise will be the followers of the other prophets. And again, all the prophets were Muslim. All their followers were Muslims. Islam did not begin with the Prophet Muhammad, guys. Islam began with Adam. It really began when Allah created the pen. Islam began when Allah created the pen. Because the first thing Allah created was the pen, and he told the pen to write. The pen submitted and did what Allah told it to do. So Islam began with the pen. It didn't begin with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? So I want you guys to think about these things. Tomorrow I'm going to give you a quiz to cover these hadiths, and then we'll be moving on to the second chapter in the first volume of Sahih Muslim. If there's any questions or comments, please type them on the screen. And remember, guys, we are always desperately in need of donations. If you want to continue to learn the truth Islam and to have the true meaning of the hadith, please donate. www.sunnahfollowers.net/donate.php to keep this dawah effort going. So any questions or comments?